Dr. Constructor?
What up, Dr. Smato? How have you been?
Pretty good. How have you been?
I've been doing really good, just working at Harvard and being professor of art. And, with my last name, Constructor, I just had to go into art.
Yeah, pretty interesting.
Yeah, what have you been up to? I heard you were working at the SF MoMA.
Yeah, I've just been hanging out there looking at some cool paintings by Frida Kahlo.
Oh, cool. I've been looking at some paintings myself.
What paintings have you been looking at?
Andy Warhol, actually, he's just great. He's Andy Warhol.
Sure he is. Well, Frida Kahlo's pretty awesome.
All right, well, tell me about Frida Kahlo.
Well, she's pretty rad. She made her fame through surrealism and her shocking self-portraits, which you've probably seen. I read a quote that says, although she was called a surrealist by Andre Benton, Kahlo culled her imagination from her own reality, a strategy that separated her paintings from those of surrealists. So she was pretty unique. And they're known for having a pretty dramatic relationship.
Really? Because, I've heard that, but to me it just seems like a publicity stunt just to get more attention.
No, they were both artists, and they're known for having a very passionate relationship. They were married and then divorced and then remarried. They had a lot of affairs. Their relationship has also been called the marriage of an elephant and a dove. In the painting, her husband holds the paintbrush and the palette, which gives him the artistic ability and control. He was an artist too. He was known for doing murals. But then she looks light, as if she's about to float or fly away from him. Look at her really small, dainty, woman-like feet. Maybe it's a sign of her earning her independence from the man who she loves but is constantly hurting her, showing that she's a good woman figure, that man can't oppress us. But historically, we know she goes back to him. I also read another quote that says, her paintings are filled with contradictions. There is a split between her mask of control and the turmoil that trashed inside her head. Even as she presented herself as a heroine, she insists that we know her vulnerability. So she's a really good public figure. In the painting, she's more meek than Diego, who's appeared solid and like a rock. Notice his big boots.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of her paintings and how her eyebrows are just really dramatized and just bushy and hairy. Do you really think that that's what she looked like?
Maybe not in real life, but in her paintings, she exaggerated her unibrow and her mustache because it connected her with her Mexican heritage. So she has a really good cultural background, representing more than just America. You can see her cultural background in the way she dresses in her paintings. She has the big Mexican dresses on, so showing that she's prideful of where she's from. But Diego is also wearing a denim shirt, which is a sign of the working class. But he's also wearing a suit, showing the contradiction within the painting. Her paintings form an organic and realist alternative, austerity of modernism, and more detached, dreamlike quality of surrealism.
Yeah, I've noticed in the painting that there's a banner above them, and it's not even in English, so I have no idea what it's saying. Do you know?
Well, the banner says, "Here you see us, me, Frida Kahlo, and my beloved husband, Diego Rivero. I painted these portraits in the beautiful city of San Francisco, California, for our friend Mr. Albert Bender. It was the month of April in the year of 1931. The quote has nothing really to do with the painting, except that it gives it an identity, and it makes it her own. Frida Kahlo is really well known. Who do you know that's so well known?
Well, I was just looking at Andy Warhol's paintings, specifically Gold Marilyn Monroe, date 1962. So, first of all, before we jump into this painting, a little background on Andy Warhol and his style and role in pop art will, I think, really help us understand this piece. So, Andy Warhol, as most of the world knows, is considered to be one of the greatest artists of the 20th century.
I've never heard of Warhol. What's so great about him?
Well, he is particularly known quite well for his distinct style and use of screen printing. And here, in the Gold Marilyn Monroe, we can see, even through a copy image of the painting, that it is screen printed.
So he basically copied it.
No, not quite. But the reason why this painting is considered to be an icon in pop art and in general is essentially because of the icon within the painting itself, Marilyn Monroe. As noted in Warhol by author Carter Radcliffe, Warhol is known to have broken many rules with this painting, especially considering that French avant-gardist Yves Klein, who had already created his all-gold paintings, which appeared in 1960, just 2 years before Andy Warhol's Gold Marilyn Monroe.
So he copied.
Well, a big thing in pop art was taking a pre-existing image and transforming that. And that's exactly what Warhol had done. He had taken a pre-existing image of Monroe from the movie Niagara and then proceeded to, quote, create a travesty of screen star makeup and hairdressing. Essentially a cluster of flat, garish blocks of color that don't even correspond very closely to the details of her face. Yet we recognize her immediately, perhaps even more quickly than we do when she is given standard media treatment.
Yeah, her makeup looks pretty garish.
It's all part of pop art, trust me. In this way, Warhol really understood that Americans no longer cared much about pictures than they did about signs and labels. He created Marilyn as really a label and sign that everyone recognized. And I think that really captured a lot of Americans in the culture of the 60s because pop art is what ties us together more than politics and religion. We know and share the same knowledge of popular food, movies, and celebrities. Pop culture is about who we are, and Marilyn Monroe was definitely a part of individuals in the late 1950s and 1960s. Men wanted her and women wanted to be her. I think Warhol brilliantly used gold as his background to symbolize Marilyn as the modern-day version of the Virgin Mary. And it's really true that even today we look up to celebrities and follow them religiously.
It's kind of crazy that our paintings are only 30 years apart, but they're so different, but both so iconic.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And hearing what you had to say about Frida Kahlo, I definitely have a new respect for her art and her ideas.
Yeah, Andy Warhol's pretty cool.
Yeah, he is. So I should probably get back to my students at Harvard. I'll see you later, Swimato.
Okay, bye.